Okay, all right, so I'm gonna start this all over again. All right, so today I'm delighted to be having a chat with International Master Femi Balogun, who is one of the top 5 players in Nigeria, and who in fact in 2017 played in the World Cup and played against the world chess champion, Magnus Carlsen. So tell us, what was that experience like, playing and meeting with the world chess champion?
Wow, that experience was a really wonderful one, and I gained a lot from that experience playing him, most especially after the game. Our interaction and analysis of the game was really world class. So getting that kind of experience comes once in a lifetime. Yeah, I am the only African to face off against the world champion, and still remain the only African to face off against the reigning world champion, Magnus Carlsen.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's wonderful, wonderful. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience or your story? How did you discover chess? What got you interested in chess, and when did you start playing?
Well, unlike kids and youth of nowadays, back then, chess wasn't really a sport you find by having coaches walk into your class and talk about chess. So basically, chess for me started with my dad. My dad taught me how to play the game of chess, and it was brought up during the father-son bonding time.
Interesting, interesting. How old were you at that time? Do you remember?
I think I was around 7. I think I finished primary school then, and it was almost time to get into secondary school. So it was a kind of closeness with my dad. So he picked chess to get our bonding going.
Oh, that's good. Was your dad a strong chess player?
Not really, because it took me a few months, I think 6 months, and I started beating him
Oh,
back
just
then.
6 months you started beating your dad. That's remarkable, actually. So how was that experience? You're winning your first game against your dad.
It was great because I think after I won, he stopped playing.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So how did you progress from there? When did you get into your first official tournament? And I imagine you went into secondary school. So did you continue playing then?
Yeah, I think I stopped playing at secondary school because you never get chess, like I said, as part of school programs back then in Nigeria. So I only picked up the game of chess at university during when I had to join a club, and I discovered they had a chess club.
Oh, okay. So what school was this? What university was this?
I finished from the University of Lagos.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So Lagos is a great school, and I'm sure
Yes.
they have one of the best chess clubs in the country as well. So tell us your experience about chess while you were at university. So how did you join? Who were the top players that motivated you to continue playing at University of Lagos?
Well, for me, I usually go to the chess club and watch them play. I never understood the game really because when I got there, I felt I knew it all based on the experience I had defeating my dad. When I got there and I was beaten without even knowing what was going on, I picked interest almost immediately. Seeing how they play, seeing how they think, seeing how deep their insight is towards the same game I thought was so easy, just to move pieces around, make captures, and you win. But I discovered it wasn't so. So I think that caught my interest. The 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 fact that the game could bring so much more rather than just in its simplicity.
That's right. So now you're at the University of Lagos. You're beginning to discover that chess is a lot deeper than you thought, playing with your dad. And now you're losing, I believe, quite easily to some of these players. And that got you a lot more interested in the game. So how did you get the courage to even continue playing with them, knowing that you had no chance winning?
Well, I asked a simple question. How do you guys do it? And the reply was read and learn. And that was why I got my first chess book. It was actually a photocopy chess book because then there was lack of chess materials.
That's
If
right.
a player has one book, the others would have to make copies. You can make as high as 1,000 copies for different people. So
That's
we
right.
basically live on very, very little chess material.
Interesting. So tell us about the first book. What book was that?
Yeah, I can't remember. Funny, I can't remember, but it was a book by Edmund Mednis, Grandmaster Edmund Mednis.
Okay.
I didn't really know who he was then, but I just knew his name. And the book had a lot of games on Sicilian and King's Indian games from the 80s, 70s by Kasparov playing the King's Indian, and Joe Gallagher playing the King's Indian, and Edna Mednis playing the Sicilian. So I think that was the book I first got, and I had to read everything cover to cover.
Oh, wow. So you got fascinated and you started diving into this book.
Yes.
So that, I believe, started building some confidence in you as you were reading the book.
Yes.
So you must have felt that you were the best and came back to the club. So how was the experience continuing playing again with the knowledge you had?
I came back to the club and I discovered a whole new experience because then anybody could just beat me, but I started winning games. That was the beauty of it. I started winning games and I became so fascinated that this looks easy, and it was a whole new experience for me. So I started winning and I was happy and I wanted to improve more because there was a level to the people I could win, because there were those regular club members and there were those way at the top, like those that get to represent the university for outside games and inter-university competitions.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So how did they begin to discover you, or how rapid was your improvement as you continue to study and continue to play more at the club? When did you play your first tournament?
My first tournament was for my university department when we had the departmental games.
Oh, okay.
I got to represent my department against club players who were from other departments, mostly the engineering departments and the architectural departments. So we got to compete against each other, and that was when I had my first experience. I won and became the best in my department, and I got some medals for my department. That was my first ever tournament experience.
Oh, wow, wonderful, wonderful. And I'm sure at this point you're beginning to get noticed by some of the top players at the chess club in Lagos, at the University of Lagos, I believe.
Yes, of course.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. So tell us what are some of the lessons that you learned early on playing at the University of Lagos in terms of your experience, particularly losing some games, maybe some close games. So why don't you share some of those lessons from your early days at the university?
Well, basically, when I lose, it's quite easy for me. I come back the next day to rematch. When I lose, I come back the next day to rematch. When I lose, I come back the following day to rematch. On and on. So for me, the experience was from constant practice and constant playing of different opponents then, who were my friends back then. So I got board experience, and I improved on that also.
Okay, so that's interesting. That's interesting. So when did you play your first tournament outside of the university? Because Lagos is a hub for chess in the country. When did you get a chance to play a national open tournament?
My first ever tournament I played was when there was, if I can remember, the National Sports Festival was supposed to hold in Kaduna. They call it the Kada Games 2009. And Team Lagos needed players to represent, and they held the trials, which I went to participate. But unluckily for me, we had team members from the University of Lagos also participating, players who were much stronger than me, players who I looked up to. And when we all got to play, I didn't make the team, but the best player in the school then made the team. But now the beauty of it was, while he was about to go for the Kada Games, his exams drew close and he couldn't make it. So he now passed the slot on to me. That was why I got lucky to represent him on his behalf for Team Lagos. And I went to the Kada Games, the National Sports Festival, and that was where I had the best performance for Team Lagos. I got the best performance overall, despite not making the team initially in the first stage.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful. So what did that do to your confidence?
Well, that was my first experience, and that was the first time I became so popular, and everybody was like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? And all of a sudden, my name was everywhere, and that was a great boost of confidence for me.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful. So did you ever make it to the top of chess at the University of Lagos? Were you the best player by the time you left, or you never got to that level?
When I left University of Lagos, I never made the team, but I was already known state-wise. So I never made the team, but my name was already known state-wise. So it was more or less like an opportunity for me, or a privilege, I would say, rather than just pure strength.
That's right, that's right. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So talk a little bit about the competitive scene in Lagos. I guess at this time you probably started playing in a lot of those national tournaments that are held in Lagos from time to time. Tell us about competing in these events.
The competition basically in Lagos is like the hub of chess in Nigeria. We have tournaments in Lagos as compared to other states, but not as much as we have internationally. So the little tournaments we have in a year, we do get to participate and come together under the same umbrella. So, and those tournaments are the tournaments I go for, the National Friends of Chess and the Nigerian Breweries Championship, sponsored by the Nigerian Chess Federation, amongst many others. Those were the tournaments that brought me into the spotlight.
Okay, okay. So I know typically in those tournaments they will have the open section, and they also have the masters section, I believe.
Yes.
Where the top players played. So did you play at the master section, or how did you transition from the open section to that section?
Okay. The Nigerian Breweries Championship, sponsored by the Nigerian Chess Federation, which is the body for chess in Nigeria, just like FIDE being the governing body for chess worldwide. They host the yearly tournament, which is called the MBL. and that was their championship. The winner of the Masters section becomes the national champion for the year. I started off 2010 by playing the Opens 2 category because I finished school around that time, university around that time. So I played the Opens category, which I won convincingly,
Wow.
and that was my first ever trophy in chess. So the following year, 2011, I played we had two Opens category then, Opens 1, Opens 2, then the Master section. I played the Opens 2 category 2010, which I won, getting my first trophy. Then I played the Opens 1 category 2011, which I also won.
Wonderful.
Then I advanced to the Masters.
Wonderful. So what was your first experience like in the Masters? So this will be in 2013, I guess.
Yes, 2012 was when I went to the Masters. Well, that year someone else became the national champion, but that was also my first blessing in disguise, because rather than become the national champion, I went ahead to become one of the top 5 best players in Nigeria to represent the country at the first ever Olympiad I attended in Istanbul, Turkey.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful. So that's great. I mean, you've really improved getting into the University of Lagos. So tell me a little bit about some of the challenges you had at the university. I know from experience, combining studies with chess, particularly if you're so passionate about chess, can have a significant impact on your academic pursuits. So how did you balance that? Because you were studying chess at the same time trying to get a degree.
Yeah, basically it was really challenging because at first when the whole rush for chess was so high, like the passion for chess was so high, at 200 level to be precise, it kind of affected my grades. But as chess players, we have to always sit down to think and analyze, not just on the chessboard, but generally, because chess helps you think, and it broadens your thought process and ability to really analyze things.
That's right.
And I realized that I'm in school to learn, and I have to learn. But at the same time, I have passion for chess. I wouldn't let it go. So I found a way to balance it and kept my grades going fine, which at the end I graduated with the second class upper, and I also became one of the best chess players. So basically for me, I would say I was lucky to be able to balance it, because not everybody gets lucky. Some people get carried away in the process and just abandon one for the other. But I was able to take the both of them with me, and I think today I'm better off with it.
Oh wow, that's a great accomplishment, and I can imagine how challenging that was. I know I had a similar experience too, where I had to fail a few courses just because I was spending so much time playing chess.
It happens to everybody.
But that's interesting. You were able to balance it and just staying focused. I guess staying focused on improving your chess, but at the same time, not losing sight of your academic pursuits. So tell me, what kind of support did you get from your parents? When did your parents start hearing that you were doing a lot better in chess?
Well, support only came much later in 2012. Like I said, that was the first time I was selected to represent the country. And when you're selected to be an ambassador for the country, it shows a whole lot of respect, gives a whole lot of respect to you as a player, as a person. So that was the first time I really got support, because before then it was all about drop chess and face your studies. Chess is not what would make you make a living or earn a living because
That's right.
the country, the society does not support it. If the society supports chess, why not? It will be a great thing. But
That's right.
understanding it then by parents was difficult because nobody then picked up chess and turned it to something significant.
That's true.
Because people only go with what they can see, and what they can see that people have done and people are successful in. So then we had nobody talking chess, nobody exposing chess to the world, nobody making a living out of chess, only
That's right.
people playing chess for fun. So when I got to represent the country, and when I also got to represent Lagos State at my state, Oyo State, at the National Sports Festival, where I won a gold medal,
Oh,
and
wow.
the cash prize then was like, I think that was my first 1 million naira I got from chess. So bringing that back home when you're awarded a gold medal and cash prize, and you present that to your parents, and they're like, wow, this is big money. Where did you get it from? And I had to explain that, okay, I was selected to represent the state. And then even after winning the gold medal, I got my first employment under the state, placed on salary. So basically I lived through that salary without having to collect stipends from my parents then. And I was on the salary even while I was in 300, 400 level, my final year, I think. Final, yeah, 300, 400 level, because my salary from the States started before I left school, I think, if I'm correct. But my first glory I brought to the States, then Oyo State, because in 2009 I didn't get a medal. I was only the best performing player. But 2012 was when
Okay.
I won a medal for the state, and I got rewarded with a cash prize, which my parents saw physically and saw that, okay, chess really did bring something to the table. And from then, since then, they became supportive of chess for me. And when I get to travel, they get to support me also.
Well, I think that's a wonderful story. So you were still in the university, you're not graduated yet. And so in your university days, you actually got a cash prize of $1 million, 1 million naira.
After university, 1 million
Well, that
naira.
was
But
after
yeah,
university. But you
but
got
during university, I got
got a
employed.
job.
I got employed.
Oh,
Yes.
wonderful, wonderful. That's awesome, awesome to hear. Oh, that's good. All right. So now you have your parents behind you supporting your adventures in chess. Did they ever travel with you in any of your international trips?
No, not at all. I get to
Oh, okay.
travel a lot.
Okay, that's good. And I imagine a lot of those travel costs were covered by the Nigerian Chess Federation, I believe.
For the Olympiad, yes, it's covered by the government. But
Mhm.
for every other personal trip, it's covered by funds from me, from winnings, from salary, and from support from parents also.
Okay, okay, wonderful. All right, so how long did you retain? I imagine you no longer work for the state government, right? Or do you?
Uh, the, 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 the state government employment was basically a civil servant employment, and it's still until date. So,
Oh, okay,
for,
okay.
yeah.
All right, excellent, excellent. All right. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience or your road as you were climbing slowly up the ladder in the Nigerian chess ranking? Um, so what were some of your goals? What were some of the things that we were hoping to accomplish? Were you hoping to be the #1 Nigerian chess player at some point? Did you ever get to that point? Why don't you tell us a little bit about that story?
Well, for me, I said, while making a mark in the international scene, I also had that passion to become the best in the country. So slowly I rose. 2012, I became a candidate master. Then 2014, I became a FIDE master. Then 2017, I became an international master. But while all this rise was still going on, Nigerian chess, as they say, is really competitive. Having that edge, having all those titles, there were still some strong, really strong players you needed to overcome back in the country. So mostly, I would say opportunity was what have been slowing the growth of basically everybody. Some get lucky, some not so much. But for me, I guess I was opportune, if I would use that word. Then from 2012, I became top 5 in Nigeria. Until date, it still remains so. But right now, it's basically the dream is to become a grandmaster, and not just become a grandmaster, to really have an in-depth understanding and knowledge of chess, because you could become a grandmaster and still get beaten by the likes of the elite 2700 players, Magnus Carlsen and the rest, because there are grandmasters and there are grandmasters, super grandmasters. So, and those set of people, elites, they understand chess. So I want to get to that level where I not just become a grandmaster, but understand chess in its depth, and I could also transfer that knowledge to upcoming generations.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So tell us a little bit about getting the IM, because I know getting the IM title is so challenging. Just from my experience working with the top Canadian players here and trying to help them along that journey as well. So what was it like for you to get the IM title? I know very few Nigerians have. I believe we only have maybe 4 or 5 IMs in the country.
No, we have eight international masters in the country.
Oh, that much? Oh, I didn't even know we had that many. All right, so we have 8 IMs. So that is challenging. A country like Nigeria should have a lot more. We should have grandmasters by now. So tell me, what was the experience like, your journey to getting the IM?
Well, the international master title in Africa generally comes from the highest or strongest tournaments you can have, being played by different countries. So the international master title I got was from the African zonals, where we have all West African countries come together to fight it out with their different strengths and different skills in chess, different talents all come together to fight it out. And the winner gets to represent the zone, which is West Africa, the whole of West Africa, yeah, at the World Cup. So that championship, winning the championship automatically grants you the international master title. But before then, I already had my 3 complete norms before going for the African individual. So basically for me, it was just for me to get my rating up to 2400, then I become an international master. But having all those 3 norms already showed that I had what it takes to become an international master. So all I did was to get to the participate in the African zonals, and I won the African zonals with 8 out of 9, and that was where I 2017, and that was where I got to represent West Africa at the World Cup, and that was my first match against the world reigning champion Magnus Carlsen.
Oh wow, wonderful! So you went to the zonal in 2017, and prior to that, you already had all your 3 norms for the IM. So that zonal, that's where you crossed 2400 after the zonal.
No, I didn't cross 2400. Winning, just like winning the World Juniors, automatically makes you a grandmaster. because you're going to be competing against grandmasters. So the zonals, I was competing against international masters, and I was able to defeat them. I was a FIDE masters at that point, having all my IM norms. So I either need to cross 2400, or I needed to win the zonals.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So did you even lose any game at that zona, or it was all?
No, I did not lose any game, just
Oh, wow.
7 wins and 2 draws.
Oh, that's a strong performance. Getting eight points out of 9. That's awesome. So where did you get your first? Talk about where you got your first norm, second norm, and third norm. How challenging were those?
Yeah, my first was also at the zonals, because coming joint first. Most my norms came from the zonals also. Coming joint first, I was able to get a norm, because then only the winner gets the title and gets to represent West Africa in the zonals. So I got norms from the zonals in Ghana, also from other zonals too. And I also went to Gibraltar in 2015. Yeah, 2015. And I also finished with 6/9. Finally ended up 6/10. So that got me a very good record also. And a lot of tournaments I got to play got me good results. But along the way, I was able to get norms too.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Tell us a little bit about your experience at the first Chess Olympiad, where you were chosen to represent the country along with other top players. So what was it like representing Nigeria at your first Chess Olympiad?
Well, qualifying for the Olympiad was actually tough and challenging. I qualified at the very last minute, because then I wasn't known. It was my first Olympiad, I wasn't known. The trials were so tough, from the first stage of 30 players, broken down to the second stage of 16 players, if I'm correct, then all the way to the last 5. So it was really challenging, and I made it as the 5th. I made it as the 4th man, yeah, the 4th man. And that happened during an Armageddon game. So it went down to the wire, where you win, you go, you lose. When you win, you qualify, you lose, you go home. So it was that tough.
So don't they pick? I thought they picked the top 5 players to represent Nigeria. Is that not how it works, or no?
Now that is how it works, because everybody has a rating and has a title. But back then, you can hardly have. We went to the Olympiad, all of us on that board, with 0 rating. So we were clearly underestimated. But when we performed, we won the category E then, because you've been placed in category at the Olympiad because of your team's average rating. And average rating then, with everybody having 0 rating, but strength of above 2300 was really playing like an underdog, basically. So we were placed in the category and we won convincingly. And then we had the first set of group of people having rating, and all of us came out of the Olympiad with titles. We all got our candidate master title at our first Olympiad.
Okay, wonderful. And when you're talking about rating, you're talking about the FIDE rating, right? So before then, you guys didn't have the FIDE ratings.
We're all unrated.
Okay, because
yeah, basically exposure. That was our first ever exposure as a team.
Okay, well, that's wonderful, wonderful accomplishment right there. So right now for the Chess Olympia, they just pick I believe they just pick the top 5 rated players in the country.
Yes, they do.
But it has to be active players, right? Because I know some players that are still rated don't play actively.
Yeah, active players.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right. Excellent. Excellent. All right. So 2017, you won the African Zona, and then you're off to the World Cup for the first time. Excellent. So when did you know that your first game was going to be against the world champion?
Well, my game was supposed to be against, if I can remember, either Aronian or Caruana. I think Caruana, but maybe Caruana or Wesley So. But all of a sudden, Magnus Carlsen at the last minute, I think wanted to tip the scale of who's going to challenge him at the World Championship match. So he found, maybe him and his team found a loophole to play the World Cup because he wasn't supposed to play the World Cup. He was the reigning world champion. So he found a loophole in the FIDE law that allows him participate in his own qualifying series. So he chose to play just like that. And there was no like, nobody opposed it. So that was when he booked his place at the championship, and I think everybody was delighted that he would be participating. So automatically, I was the lowest rated player then because I only started building my reputation not quite long, and my rating also with it. So 2300, lowest rated players, you have grandmasters everywhere and super grandmasters. So the seeding is the best player, which is the highest rated player, versus the lowest rated player back then. So that was how I got the chance and opportunity to play the reigning world champion.
Oh, okay. All right. Wonderful. I'm sure he probably never heard of your name. So I wonder how much preparation he did himself. So how did you prepare for the event? Did you have a opening prepared for Magnus? Did you spend some time studying his games? How did you get yourself prepared for the tournament?
Well, the truth is nobody really prepares for Magnus because Magnus is basically like Ivan Chuk. If you prepare this way, when you meet on the board, you see something else. So, and being the last minute, he came in at the last minute when I already had preparations for the Grandmaster I was supposed to play then. So things changed. There was really nothing to prepare. So I had to go with my experience and what I already know in chess. And sitting on the board, I felt he was just gonna basically crush me and the game will be over maybe in like uh, 15, 17 moves, just the way he crushes other grandmasters. But after every move, it was like I kept seeing everything and understanding everything he played, and I was responding accordingly. So after the game, I was hearing comments like, "Wow, this guy is good. Who is he?" All over the world. But during the game, I basically understood everything that was coming up from the board, but at the cost of my time going. So basically, when I made the first blunder, I was already in time trouble. I had seconds on my clock. But when I looked at when I looked at his clock, when we had almost 1 hour, 30 minutes or 2 hours for the first 40 moves, I was happy and fulfilled because one, I kept him on the board for over 3 hours, which is very, very like unlike any super grandmaster playing
Yeah.
a lower rated player. At the same time, his clock was down to 20 minutes before he was able to get anything out of the position.
Mm.
And which after the game in his commentary, he talked about it. He said he felt he could just win the game easily, but I held off a very strong resistance. And to hold off a very strong resistance against the reigning world champion is something to be commendable about.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. And I think I remember watching some of those games. then and just seeing your courage in terms of how you played and responded to his moves. That was really awesome. And you had a chance to sit with him after the games, just to analyze the games, and I'm
Yes, we
sure
did.
that was insightful.
Yeah, we did. Because he talked about most part of the games where after I played the freeing move, he felt I had nothing. He said he felt I had nothing, but after I played the freeing move, he just realized that he had nothing and he just had to look for a way to outmaneuver me, which he did. But the second game was really long when I felt okay, maybe I was only lucky in the first game. The second game he would just run over me. Second game was even longer than the first game, and we took the game way over 40 with no advantage for either him or me. So it was basically we're basically playing an equal position for a very, very long time till I ran into time trouble coupled with the tension of playing the reigning world champion as at then.
That's right.
So basically that was why I lost, not because I was outplayed and
Yeah,
not because of any other factor, just my first time playing, the experience, the tension, adrenaline rush, and how I have to combine managing my time. So it was basically more of his ability to manage his time well and also play good moves.
that's right. That's right. Tell us a little bit about the role coaches have played in your life, or in terms of helping you improve your game in chess. Did you ever, did you have coaches that you used consistently all through your career? Are you working with a coach right now? Tell us a little bit about working with coaches to help you improve.
Well, for me, working as a coach is highly beneficial and everybody should take advantage of it once they see or once they have an opportunity to get a trainer. Why? Because growing up in Nigeria, you cannot get a coach. If you get a coach, it's probably someone that you can also beat in chess, who has also taken a full-time job as a coach, but he is not anyway stronger than you, and you probably have more experience than him. But growing up, we were all self-taught. Our first book, we read it, we drew up a work pattern for ourselves, we drew up a study pattern for ourselves. We basically read books, then come to tournaments. We hope that our opponents fall into preparation because it's a big hope. Because one, there were no database to study to prepare for any player. At the same time, there were basically no coach out there. So everything we achieved being self-taught. That is one of the reasons why it's difficult for you to find any 2500 in Nigeria because the proper training wasn't there. So everything was just self-taught and the exposure also wasn't there. We don't all get to travel out of the country. Only a few people get to, and only a few people get that kind of exposure and experience.
Right.
So basically all of us should be international masters in their own right, everyone, but not everybody can get it because we are all equally strong, but at the same time, not having equal opportunity. So a chess coach here in Nigeria who has that experience, who has that title, who has that grounded knowledge is like gold. Gold that everybody will take advantage of. So what we give as coaches to our generation now is basically years of experience we have gathered and we just found a way to fine-tune it and share that knowledge to the kids. So they are getting years of experience in just one class, two class, three classes, in just a month, in just a week. And we find out that they can actually surpass the level we are just because of the experience we give to them. So coaches are a value which I didn't have when I was growing up. But now everybody basically could have one at their grasp, and they should probably take advantage of it, because that's the best thing that can ever happen to them if they want to pursue that dream of becoming one of the best chess players.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, I totally agree with you. I think coaches and mentors play an important role in anything you want to do in life, right? So, whenever you want to improve, and if you want to improve very rapidly, then you certainly need a coach by your side. And so, from what I'm hearing, you didn't have that opportunity early on when you started your chess career. And similar to all the players I've talked to recently too, is the same thing. You know, they never had the exposure. They were all preparing and learning themselves. So now I know you are on a mission, hopefully to get your Grandmaster title. So tell us a little bit about that pursuit and that dream to be a Grandmaster. I know it takes quite a lot. It requires a lot of international exposure. It requires you to play in a lot of events. Most likely playing in the Nigerian scene or even in the African scene will probably not be sufficient. You need to play in Europe, in North America. So tell us a little bit, what's your plan, or what are some of the things you're doing right now to pursue that dream?
Well, basically, for me, becoming a Grandmaster has been a dream, okay? At the same time, it's not so easy in Nigeria. Basically, there are no tournaments that can give you a Grandmaster norm, first of all. You have to travel out, and traveling out requires expenses, a whole lot of expense, okay, which you would have to work hard to acquire. It doesn't just come so easy. So tournaments outside the country, is a great chance to become a Grandmaster, but we don't get that a lot. So once we get one, we try to make the best use of the opportunity. Unlike some other people who get to play tournaments that could make them Grandmaster, but don't actually get it. If we get those kind of tournaments, trust me, it's like it becomes a case of who wants it more. When we attend this kind of tournaments together, we find out from experience that we get to perform well, even way beyond people that have been performing over the years. We get to even beat grandmasters while we're at it also. So every Olympiad we get to beat grandmasters, even as international masters, even as FIDE masters that we are. So that is the dream, and we all keep looking for that opportunity to achieve that dream, and very soon I believe it's going to come.
Okay, so for the international tournaments you've played so far, how do you get the sponsorship or the funds to travel? As much as you've done, you've traveled quite a bit in your chess career. So have you been lucky yourself to find sponsorship, or has most of this been funded by yourself, by your personal funds?
Yeah, most of the tournaments I participate in have been funded by myself, from savings, from winnings, and support from parents, sometimes, a few times. And basically, the sponsors I get are sponsors who were willing back then to give me access to as many materials as possible. So when I get materials, chess books, I get them for free. Chess softwares, I get them for free. I'm able to access them easily than before. But when it comes to sponsoring myself to play tournaments, flight ticket, hotel accommodations, and registrations, I basically do that on my own.
So that's tough, and I think that's one of the reasons why we don't have grandmasters in the country.
Yeah, one of the
Just,
reasons. Not
just
that
because,
everybody cannot become a grandmaster, but
that's right.
the
It's just because
opportunity
it's the exposure. Because I know to get your grandmaster, you just need to go to a place like
out there.
Europe, spend 2 months at a time, just playing in tournaments around Europe, or come to America, or come to America and spend a couple of months, 2-3 months, or 1 month, just playing in GM tournaments. And I know that's one of the reasons why I'm starting this. That's one of the reasons why we want to start investing in Nigerian chess, because I know we have so much talent. So one of the things we'll be doing is to look for ways to drive corporate sponsorship, to drive more events, and to provide opportunity for top talents to come to either Europe or even North America to compete in international tournaments.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. That's why I'm personally also disappointed in Canada. It's the same issue Canada is going through, right? There's lack of corporate sponsorship in the country. We have so much talent, and if you look at Canada as a country, we should have a lot more grandmasters. I think we only have maybe 8 or 9 grandmasters, which is.
Yeah, I know Eric Hansen should be the best
That's right. He's
grandmaster
one of our
in
top,
Canada.
top
Yeah.
players. But he doesn't even. I don't think he plays that much. He's not even that active in playing these days. He's more like an internet guru now.
Yeah, I guess so. In one of his interviews, he also said he was self-taught at some point. So growing up, he said he was self-taught. Even grandmasters that come to Nigeria say they commend each and every one of us, saying that we're clearly underestimated. That if we take our rating out there, that what people don't know is when they say our rating maybe 2300, all they need to do is just add an extra 150 to it. That would be imagining what our strength would be like, because clearly our strength is way more than what our rating shows.
Yeah, I would totally agree. And that would make sense because you don't get the opportunity to play in a lot of federated events. And so that is probably the reason why. Okay, so tell us, what have you been up to these days? What are you doing? What's keeping you busy in the chess scene in Nigeria?
Well, tournaments basically, and opportunity traveling outside the country, because I was planning to play the World Opens this year, July.
Okay.
But because of the pandemic, things have been put on hold. And I already bought my flight ticket from February, because tournament like that, you have to plan ahead months before the time. You can't just wake up, say you want to go play a tournament without planning. It's not so easy, unlike for other countries. So I was I've traveled before the lockdown this year. I've traveled to Cote d'Ivoire. I've traveled to Ghana to go to play tournaments at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
Basically, and what I do is basically for in chess while back in the country is play local tournaments, hit the call of my states whenever they need me for the National Sports Festival and every other championship. And personally, what I do in chess is chess in school. I run a chess in school program, royalty
Okay.
chess. So there we get to tutor kids in the game of chess and bring them up. We're basically more of building numbers, because what we lack in Nigeria is numbers. When we have thousands of chess players, then chess would be on the map of the nation. So basically, the population we have for chess is quite low, and we're working hand in hand with some other local companies to build up chess numbers, because when we meet sponsors, what they're after is numbers. And and that could be very challenging. Once you meet like a telecoms company, they want numbers. People they could sell their product to in large numbers. That would help them. Once they have numbers, then they'll be willing to sponsor. So we don't have the numbers. So what we do is go out there to meet clients, schools, clients, institutions to train them and bring chess as a tool to part of their learning processes. So we could build the numbers of chess players. And from there, luckily we can get our first grandmaster, or we can start building up the future to attain the grandmaster title also.
Okay, well, that's awesome. I think you're doing a fascinating job trying to get more and more people involved in the game at a very grassroots level. And that is something very courageous to do. I know that can be very challenging. So you guys are going to schools, trying to deepen your relationships with the schools to get more kids involved in chess. Now, talk a little bit about the challenges you're having with sponsors. Now, sponsors say they need numbers. Are they talking about numbers of kids enrolled in your chess program, or they are looking at numbers of people that have been watching your events? What kind of numbers are you referring to?
Basically, where numbers in which they could sell their own products. Okay, because when they keep the general question they keep asking is, what do you have to offer? And that question in its sense is not what you want to is not your product. It's not you trying to sell your product to them. It is you trying to give them what would make them willing to sponsor you. Okay? And you need to give them, we realize we need to give them something they could sell their product to. Like if we walk up to a bank and say we have 1,000 people, 2,000 people, 3,000 people willing to play chess in a tournament at the same time, you could come sell your product of them opening an account with the bank. Surely that is numbers for them. That is what you have to offer to them. And with that, they'll be willing to do basically anything for you. So if we don't have the numbers, they cannot, it is difficult for them to see any reason why they should sponsor.
That's right. That's right.
Whereas it would be part of their corporate social responsibility, but
That's
still,
right. Yeah.
they will be willing to put it on a spot or on something where they could use as a form of advertisement, even if they don't get anything out of it. Once they have people to spread their word around the world, they're okay with that.
That's right. So, that's right. I totally agree. So tell us a little bit about your experience at a grassroots level trying to get chess into schools. Are you primarily working with private schools, or you're also working with the public schools?
Yeah, there are a lot of us on that mission already. A lot of chess companies being set up, the likes of Peda Chess, and also Peda Chess is like the biggest chess company in Nigeria, working with a lot of private schools. Basically, I also work with private schools to set up chess in schools program, chess in schools curriculum, chess mathematics interactive program that would help the kids being able to be able to build both their chess skills and their cognitive skills in reasoning, in analysis, and in interaction. So basically, we also have to sell to the schools why chess is needed, okay, in correlation with learning. So we find ways to go around that, and we do a kind of a hypothesis test and practice to show during their inter-school competition to actually show that kids who are slow in learning can actually pick up after adding chess skills to their program.
Oh wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So what has the result been so far? What's the transformation like for some of those schools that have embraced chess as a learning option? in the schools?
First of all, at the beginning stage, they were skeptical, but as time goes on, or as time went on, whenever the parent, we find out that whenever the parents give up,
Yeah.
the kids would be the one to encourage them not to give up. They tell them that this is what they love, and they would have no choice than to continue. So basically, we help the kids build that kind of confidence, that kind of
Yeah.
opportunity for them to be able to interact with their parents, because we find out that kids hardly interact with their parents. Or when you get kids, or you get series of group of kids saying, "Mom, this is what I love. Please don't take it away from me." Even their parents will come to appreciate the fact that their kids can relate with them in such a manner, and they would have no choice but to continue. So that is what we offer to kids, an ability for them to hone their interactive and analytical skills at a very much early stage, and it pays off in the end.
Okay, no, I totally agree. I totally agree. That's awesome. Um, so for kids, I know there are lots of kids. You guys are you're spending your time trying to get kids involved in chess. You're providing private coaching, um, and I know we have a lot of young talents that are rising in chess. So what are the three things for those that are listening and those that have been motivated in one way or the other through some of the discussions we've had? What are the top three things you can say to players that are coming up, players that are looking up to you and to the other top players in Nigeria? What are the three top tips you can give to them in their journey as they pursue chess?
Well, basically for me, I believe for chess, it's actually study right. Okay, the right kind of study is what they need to get at this point in time. And basically, the advantage they have, firstly, is an access to a chess trainer. Once you have an access to a chess trainer, it simply means you're on the right path, and you would never go wrong once you have a chess trainer. It saves you, it automatically eliminates the aspect of trial and error for your personal training. You eliminate the aspect of trial and error, and you go straight to the point. You start learning the right way, and you build up faster. Then as time goes, if you want to improve, you can decide to change trainers, but not until you've acquired the first background knowledge. So, and secondly, while training, self-confidence is quite important. If you have a trainer that can build it in you, perfect. Once you build your self-confidence, it goes a long way to determine how talented, or to show how talented you are and how talented you can become in the future. So build up your self-confidence and avoid doubting your ability. It's okay to get scared, but at the same time, don't give up while getting scared. If you don't face a challenge, you don't know how good you're going to perform. If you don't face a battle, you don't know if you're going to win. You can't just rule out the possibility of winning because of the physical appearance of the person, or because of the internet information, if I'll put it that way, you have about that person. Oh, this person has 1,000 games. I only have 20. How can I defeat this person? If you have that mentality, it's okay to get afraid. But if you have that mentality and you say you're not going to play or challenge, you will never improve to surpass that person. Then thirdly, you have to be a goal-getter. If you are good and you want to become better, you have to set a goal. Oh, this is what I want to be. I want to become a FIDE master in the next 1 year, and you work towards it. I want to become an international master in the next 1 year. You have to work towards it. I want to become a grandmaster in 1 year. Once you have the available resources at your disposal, you take advantage of it, and you give yourself a target. After 6 months, I want to be 2300 rating. After 1 year, I want to be 2400 rating, and I want to be 2500 rating after that. You set a goal, and step by step you achieve it. And when you achieve it, you put it on record that, okay, this has been achieved, on to the next. Once you have that mentality, even the sky is your limit.
Oh, wow, I love those tips. So thank you for sharing that. So for the kids that are listening, just to recap some of the things you've said. So one, start the right way, right? By getting a trainer, getting a coach. And I think that came from a lot of experience that you had. Because I totally agree. Having the right trainer, the right coach, is the fastest shortcut, if I heard it correctly, to getting the success that you want. Because that way you want to avoid mistakes. You want to dive in and lean into their own experience, and just studying the right way. Studying the right way is so critical to making you successful. Then secondly, you talked about the importance of building self-confidence. And self-confidence only comes from going into battle. I think I love that analogy where if you don't get into battle, you'll never learn, right? How do you build self-confidence? You build self-confidence by trying, by playing, by competing. So I love that analogy in terms of getting the courage to go into battle, for them to be able to face their fears, right? If you face your fears, that is the only way you can succeed. Finally, what's the last one? I forgot the last point.
Being a go-getter, you have to set a target. That's right, the
last point, setting goals. Setting goals is so important because that's the only way you can track progress. That's the only way you can measure results. And I love the fact that, putting a concrete time ahead of that goal, saying, okay, I want to be a FIDE master by 2021 or by January 2021, and coming up with a plan to work to achieve your goal. I love those tips. I think those are incredible tips for the little kids or the chess fans or those that are hoping to improve their game. So tell people that are motivated and they want to know more about you, they want to hear from you, they want to get in touch with you. What's the best way people can get a hold of you?
Well, I'm on Facebook with my full name, Balogun Oluwafemi. Okay. I think that's the easiest way to get in touch with me. Instagram, once a while, I make messages, but I'm not always online. But Facebook is the easiest medium.
Okay, excellent. So if you want to get a hold of International Master Femi Balogun, hit him up on Facebook. So do you do a lot of Facebook Live? Or do you play a lot of chess on Facebook?
Well, I play on LI Chess, and
chess. Okay.
I just started streaming, but I think really? I'll probably start streaming on Facebook. I think I stream on Twitch on LI Chess. So.
Okay. So you're streaming on Twitch. How often do you stream? Is it regularly, every day, every week?
I just started. So I think I've only streamed once. That's
okay.
All.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. So I think you should link it up to a YouTube channel.
Maybe once I have the workings of the whole thing, because I am new to all these things, so I'm learning fast.
Okay. So hopefully what we'll do is to link that up to the footage of this interview, so more people will get to follow you once we get this out to the world, to the Nigerian chess scene. All right, so let's dive into a game now. We'll spend some time just for you to walk us through the game you want to show. So if you look at your screen, you'll see a green button that says share screen. I don't know if you can try that and see if you can share your screen that way. That way we can see it again. Do you see any share screen button?
Yeah, it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay, all right, let me see if I can enable that. How do I do that? File record, put with it. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. 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 Okay, Okay, so let me see how I can figure that out. I'm just gonna 1 minute. I'm trying to figure out how I change that setting so you can share your screen. Here's my setting here. Okay, try it now. Would that work?
Okay, I think.
Excellent. Okay. We can see your screen now. So now you can pull up the game if you have it loaded somewhere, and you can walk us through it.
How do I do that?
So now you're sharing your screen. So do you have a tab that has the game that you want to look at?
Okay, you mean I could?
I was thinking you load a chessboard, pull up a chessboard, and go through the game that way.
Okay, like my screen can be shown now, right?
Yeah, I'm seeing your screen now. Yeah, and I'm seeing your chessboard. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I never knew.
Yeah, so this is the awesome thing about Zoom and online. So right now, how are you teaching your kids right now? Do you do online teaching, coaching, or is
Yeah,
everything on hold?
yeah, everything is on hold for now because not all kids have access to a laptop, and because of the sudden uh, rise of the pandemic, it came as a shock to people. So people were unprepared for online. People never even knew about anything online. So now the whole online awareness is building up. So it's going to take some time, but I'm sure everything started. Even I have begun to set up access points like this to be able to teach online. But it now depends on the parents of the kids
Mm.
who are willing to be able to grant their kids access to tools that could enable them learn to.
Okay, all right, excellent. All right, so that's one of the things we're doing to help get a lot of our top players into this stuff so they can keep playing. Okay, all right. So what you can do once you're ready, you can set the stage. I don't know if you can expand your board, make the board a little. Yeah, I think you can do that. Yeah, excellent. Make the board a little bit bigger. Okay, excellent. That's good. So why don't you set the stage for this? Tell us a little bit about this event, this tournament, and walk us through the game.
Okay, the game I'm about to show is from the African Individual Championship. I was white against Grandmaster Fauzi Adam. Fauzi Adam is a rising star. When I played him, he hit 2500, and he also became a Grandmaster much earlier in the year. So basically, he was, and he's quite young, he's below 20 years old. So he's more of talent, rising talent, who is set to gonna achieve much more than what he already is achieving. So I got to play him, and knowing his profile, I was supposed to play main lines, but I took another approach because then it was more of experience versus talent for me.
Okay. All right, so go ahead and walk us through the game.
So I was white against Fauzi, and I am known to be an E4 player. And this time around, I decided to stick to my lines and I played e4. Okay?
Yeah.
So awaiting his response, he responded with c5. Now c5 is this opening is called the Sicilian, and it's known to be an aggressive opening. Basically, an opening played by everybody, even the world champion Magnus Carlsen. So knowing that youths, basically from experience, are good at tactics, I decided not to go that route, so I would not feel the full force of youth over experience. So I decided to keep things close. So I continued knight f3. He played knight c6. Then rather than play d4, which is supposed to be the main line, opening up the game for whites and everything boils down to tactics, I decided to play d3, steering the game into a closed Sicilian. Now, as passive as this looks, it's more of psychology. It's more of telling my opponent, I want us to play chess based on our understanding, not just based on reading a book and cramming main lines just to come and pour it out on me and move through. So seeing this, he continued with the closed Sicilian setup. G6, trying to activate his dark square bishop so he could castle early. G3, following suit. Bishop G7, Bishop G2, then E5. Now black is trying to take more space in the center, and also dissuading white from breaking and opening the center much later in the game with a d4. So the pawn wedge c5 and e5 actually stops white from breaking up the center. So what was on my mind was to just finish development, then find the plan. So castle, knight g to e7. If you notice, black's pieces, the knights and bishops, are properly coordinated, while I still need to bring out all my pieces and make them coordinated as fast as possible.
Wow. So this setup, is this a setup you're familiar with?
Yes, for white, this is a setup in accordance to the King's Indian attack. And it's a setup you can play against basically every opening. But as you grow and as you want to achieve more, you would realize it's much better to play the main lines. But fighting against experience or fighting against youth, sometimes you might choose to make the game as boring as possible and make the game stay in a way whereby you can actually see and understand everything the opponent is doing, rather than face a computer preparation where you have to spend so much time trying to unravel.
That's right.
So the King's Indian attack affords a simple plan. If black knows what he's doing, he would be fine, he should be fine. But if black doesn't know what he's doing, he could easily go wrong and overstretch. So now, after castling and keeping my king safe, I now have to follow the plan of finding an open file. And what best way to do that than to break this pawn chain? So c3, castled. Now playing d4 is going to be virtually impossible because I'll be dropping a pawn. Like I said, his pieces and the pawns are properly coordinated and I've formed the pawn wedge here.
Yeah.
So I can follow the plan of breaking with b4 or follow the plan of breaking with f4. Okay, that way I will be able to reduce the strength of this two-pawn wedge and have an open file where my rooks and my heavy pieces can come out. So I chose to break with b4 by playing a3. So he immediately opened up the game. So immediately open up the game with d5.
Yeah.
And now he is the one seeking to get an open file against me. Now if I capture, I only help this knight become better.
That's right.
Okay, so now I'm at the crossroad to think, should I capture or should I keep developing? Now, if I let my opponent capture, we both have an open file where we both have counter play. And I'm sure my opponent will want that. So I let him decide by playing knight b2, developing. Okay?
Yeah.
My opponent seeing that he doesn't want to open up the file, so we both have play. He decided to keep it close again. So this time around, he gets space, but at the same time, I'll have to capture because now my pawn on d3 becomes very weak if I don't capture. So c takes d4, c takes d4. Now we both have an open file we must use. But the advantage black has is space. It has more space.
That's right.
Coordinate his chess pieces, while I have to build more space from the scratch as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Now I have two pieces that are not so coordinated, the knight on d2 and the knight on f3. So I'll need to find a way to place them in the appropriate place so I can either break with f4 to open up files on the f rank, on the f file, or continue with my plan of e4. So I chose b4, trying to kick this knight off. a6. So with the move a6, this stops b5, but affords me a chance of two possible breaks. Either f4 because of the pawn wedge to break the pawn chain, or to continue on the b file. So I chose rook b1. Now the threat b5, a takes, rook takes, makes my rook active and keeps an eye or a target on the b7 pawn. So seeing this, he just continued h6. Then I played knight b3, trying to place my pieces in a much coordinated spot.
That's right.
In the square c5. So if this bishop tends to leave, the knight c5 would be an harassment on the bishop. Because this bishop is the last piece my opponent needs to fully develop his pieces so he can start an attack. So I'm trying to stop that and make that as annoying as possible. So he played king h7. Remember, he also has a plan of breaking with f5.
That's right. So he's playing on the king side. You're playing on the queen side.
Yes, I'm playing on the king side. I'm playing on the queen side. He's playing on the king side. But at the same time, I have to watch his breaks. The more open file he has for his pieces, the better chance of him coming down on me to crush me. So I have to prevent that. Remember, my two knights have been the more badly placed pieces so far.
That's right.
So I played knight e1, trying to get my pieces.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about that move. So why is the knight retreating back to e1?
Now knight e1 is solely for the purpose of the pawn break f4. Now, wherever you have a pawn wedge in the center this way, the best way to break a pawn chain is at its base. Once you hit the base, just like a pack of cards, once you hit the base of a pawn, everything comes falling down. So with the move f4, once it captures, the d pawn becomes weak in the possible future. At the same time, when you capture back with a bishop, you develop your bishop at the same time, also activating the bishop so you can make use of the open c file. Now he's making it difficult to make use of the open c file. At the same time, you also have to make sure he doesn't get an open file where he could freely uh, position all his pieces for active use.
Yeah, because now you know he's about to play f5, so your plan is to respond to
F4
f5 with
also.
f4. Okay.
So he went, I played f5 anyway,
Mm-hmm.
then I played f4. So now he has to be careful. What file would he like to open? If he opens f takes e, I could easily play d takes e. If he opens f takes e, I could play d takes e. Then in the possible future, I get to play my knight to d3,
Mm-hmm.
strengthening my position, because a knight blockade is also a good defense. And if he plays e takes f4, my bishop could play, also a pawn could play, capture back, so as not to allow the knight an active square. So seeing this, he needed to be careful on what to capture. So he decided to wait a bit, seeing if I would show my hand by playing queen d6. So I also now need to be careful because any pawn capture, pawns are the only piece that can never go back. Once you
That's
make a
right.
capture, it's permanent. If it forces a weakness, it's permanent. So f takes e for me would only activate this knight. F takes e will activate the knight capture, and the knight will be hitting on g4, which is an active square, very good square for the knight, also on d3. And e takes f would also activate this bishop or this knight. So I wouldn't want to capture immediately. So I'll have to wait and watch also. So I found an interesting move, queen c2. Now the threat is to play queen c5, probably forcing knight to c5, going into an endgame where I'll be better off finding counterplay on the queen side while he opens up the king side. So he played b6, stopping the idea. Now that I know the idea has been stopped, and I can't make any capture in the center for now, I have to find a move to also activate my pieces. So I found knight to d2. The threat being knight to c4, harassing the queen, harassing the pawn on b6, which is a weak pawn, and also keeping in touch on e5. So the knight to c4 is actually an optimum placement of my knight, making it a very good knight. So seeing this, he just played b5, stopping the idea almost immediately. So now I'd have to think, can I make a capture now, or should I still wait? I could actually wait to b3 because now my c5, the c5 square,
that's right,
is permanently weak.
That's right.
Which is very good. But instead, I found that capturing e takes f would actually give my bishop a very long diagonal for tactical reasons. So I went e takes f. So now the grandmaster replied, bishop takes f5. And here the tactical justification comes in, knight e4. And this move helped me net the bishop pair. Maybe he could have retreated to other squares, I wouldn't know. But justifying this, the knight on e4 with the threat coming to c5 wasn't what he would like to see on the board. So he gave up the bishop pair. It became very good for me.
Yeah.
And bishop takes e4, still putting pressure on this long diagonal. He played rook a to c8 with the discover on my queen. So I had to move my queen to a good square, a safe square where all my pieces would also develop and play. So I kept pressure on the diagonal by playing queen to g2. He then played knight to f5, trying to make use of the e3 square.
Yeah.
So now I need to optimally place all my pieces so I could have the necessary counterplay to further my attack. Knight f3, putting pressure on e5.
Yeah.
He then played knight e3. So bishop takes. The only bishop that has been left doing nothing in the game from the beginning finally got to make an important capture. So d takes e3. Now here comes the tactics that makes my position become viable. I played bishop takes on c6. He responded rook takes c6, probably without thinking so much. He wouldn't want to drop a pawn on e5 with queen takes e6, queen takes c6, but maybe that was the best move. So now knight takes e5. Here comes the tactics. Why? Because bishop takes, pawn takes, the queen cannot take back. You would have to leave a rook, two rooks hanging, and e5 will become a potential pass pawn if he leaves it unattended to. So after knight takes e5, it simply means for now I am a pawn up.
That's right.
So he simply moved rook c3 to continue furthering his attack. Then I went to an active square with my queen, e4, because the threat was actually bishop takes e5, pawn takes e5. Then after rook check, then queen takes d3, maybe. So now he played the move, rook takes a3. This was an active pawn that I probably should have protected, but at the cost of giving up this pawn, I got the open file. So I played rook to c1.
That's right. Oh, we're threatening rook to c6 now.
Rook to c6, okay. And now my attack starts. So he played e2, trying to deflect the queen in case I capture. So the queen could probably come in with a series of checks, and maybe if I don't play accurately well, the rook a2 or a queen b2 could just run me through. So now seeing this, I realized I could actually do without capturing. So I played rook f to e1 because the pawn is not going anywhere. At the same time, the pawn serves as a blockade to the rook getting an open rank on my seventh.
That's right. Such a good idea.
Rook f to e1. We now played rook a4, move I didn't like because this move wins this pawn. For this pawn, the b pawn right now does not look like a priority. Probably he did this without thinking also. He wins the pawn, yes. He thinks, maybe he believes I will still spend time capturing this, going for this e pawn, but an attack on the king supersedes every form of distraction. So you could actually sacrifice.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he's allowing you to even play rook c6, because I mean that's.
So I wouldn't know his reason for this. Probably we were both low on time at this point. We're playing under 1 minute actually. So
wow, okay.
this decision was actually strange because all those middle game processes that look so easy after my explanation took both of us hours to think through before making those moves. So those moves look easy now because of post-mortem, but they weren't so easy. Thinking it through then. So after rook a4, I just continued with my plan, ignoring the e2, rook c6. Now he drops the g6 pawn. So after rook c6, he just went queen takes b4, completely. Maybe once I make a mistake, maybe feels the king can escape, so he could pick on e1 with a check,
That's right.
and checkmate the king. After queen captures e1, then queen f1 should probably be checkmate. But my attack arrives first. So I went queen takes g6, king to h8, then I finally captured the pawn.
Mm.
So now seeing this position, his king is being boxed in danger, but he needs to find counterplay desperately.
That's right.
So he went queen d4 check. I went king g2. I went queen d5 check. So now I hit my king on h3, and I could now continue my attack unhindered.
That's right, because it has no more checks.
Yeah, so in desperate attempts, he went to defend, but it was already too late. Rook c7, queen h7, knight f7 check, king g8, then queen e6, the final nail in the coffin. So with this, my grandmaster opponent resigned the game. That was how I got a clear and clean victory.
Well,
Because
that's
any knight discovery would win the queen while
that's
still
right.
threatening checkmate at the same time.
That's right. And he can't even capture the knight because he's going to be checkmate soon.
So after basically this whole game simply shows the importance of development and the importance of finding the right plan. And the right plan started by trying to get as many open files as possible. If I don't get an open file, I don't hope to get an attack, and I can't hope to win. And also I have to get the right open file, and I have to open the right file at the right time. So perfect timing also plays a key role to a successful attack or successful counterplay.
That's right. So this was an interesting game. I mean, and this is a game that started with you. You didn't have a lot of. I mean, Black had a lot of space in the opening,
Of course.
right? And he was expanding in the center. Eventually closed the center, but you were able to achieve some breaks with all your pawn moves, particularly on the queen side, and also stop his king side attack. So I thought the plan for you to be able to play that f4, I think that was a turning point in that game, playing f4 and just keeping that tension in the center. And at the right opportunity, you had the time to do the capture on f5, which was good. So that's good. So did you guys spend some time to analyze the game after this game? What were some of his any insights from that?
Yeah, we didn't really spend more time analyzing the game because he wasn't happy as he was much younger. So if at all he was going to analyze, maybe if we were at the same age or close to, or maybe if he was much older as a grandmaster, the younger ones tend to get pretty emotional quickly. And much later, although he came back saying, okay, he should have been calm to think it through, but he basically underestimated most of my moves and wasn't thinking it through because he felt he was going to win since we were both worlds apart in terms of title. I'm an international master, he was a grandmaster, so that form of confidence made him underestimate what I could actually do if given the chance.
That's right. Wow, congrats. So this is an awesome game. Thank you for going through this. And this was in 2019, right?
Yeah,
Egyptian grandmaster. Was it in Egypt or where was it?
Tunisia.
Oh, Tunisia, okay. Okay, excellent, excellent. All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. Thank you for the time and for sharing your experience and your story. And certainly we'll be doing quite a bit together. And I will certainly get back in touch as soon as we have all of this stuff edited and ready. I'll try and connect with you on Facebook, and then we can keep keep the conversation on. Okay, so let me know as soon as you get your channel up, your streaming site up. Let me know. I'm gonna find you on Twitter. So, what's the best way to find you on Twitter? Just to search your
Twitter.
name, right?
Yes.
No, not Twitter. On Twitch. I mean.
On Twitch. I signed up as a Stuffings. That's my online name, Stuffings. So
Stuffings. Stuffing.
yeah, Stuffings.
Okay.
So basically, that's my LHS handle. That's my Twitch username, Stuffings.
Okay.
Stuffings 101 sometimes, just Stuffings sometimes.
Okay. Okay. Let's see if I can find you there. All right. So thank you so much. Thank you for making the time to do this, and we'll stay in touch for sure.
My pleasure.
Okay. All right. Take care. Goodbye.
Thank you. Yeah, bye-bye.
Yeah.